Strikes Back! We have reached this installment of my Star Wars series leading up to the Rise of Skywalker, The Empire Strikes Back. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. The Empire Strikes Back, let's just get right into it. The Empire Strikes Back involves the Galactic Empire seeking revenge on the Rebel Alliance. They attack the Rebel Alliance base on the planet of Hoth, and Luke Skywalker goes off to train with Jedi Master Yoda to become a Jedi. Vader is searching the galaxy high and low for Luke, and when he captures Luke's friends, Luke has to decide whether or not to continue his Jedi training or to face Vader head-on and confront some dark secrets that Vader may have about Luke. The Empire Strikes Back is the quintessential sequel in cinema. This is one of the best, arguably the best, sequel ever made to any movie whatsoever. This came out in 1980, it's episode 5, this is the second Star Wars movie released, later retitled episode 5. This movie just does everything that the original Star Wars did, and just expands on that so much. We get new characters like Lando Calrissian, played by Billy D. Williams, first black man in space. Whoever had the idea to come up with another smuggler for the Star Wars universe, you are genius. Lando is such a great character, and I love his interactions with Han Solo in this. And at first, you really don't realize what Lando's really doing, because he betrays the entire group to Vader. But you don't know what Vader threatened him with. What if Vader threatened him with death? And what if Vader, threatened to kill his family or something? Of course, you would tell Vader where Luke is and where his friends are and all that. You would betray people to the Galactic Empire if that happens. So there will be a question as to whether or not Lando made the right decision there. I think he did, but Lando is one of the most well-realized characters in The Empire Strikes Back. He's just as cool in the next one, Return of the Jedi. Can't wait for him to come back in The Rise of Skywalker. The Empire Strikes Back also has one of my favorite battles in the entire Star Wars saga. It's probably my favorite battle in the Star Wars saga, next to the Battle of Krayt in The Last Jedi, right on the Death Star at the end of A New Hope. This is one of the most intense aerial dogfights I have ever seen. This is the quintessential Star Wars battle. This has everything you want. You got ships flying everywhere, the AT-AT walkers, the AT-ST walkers, everything. It's a really, really great battle, and I've always loved the landscape of Hoth in that scene. That you could just see how chilling and cold Hoth is, and you kind of wonder, how did the rebels take up refuge on an ice planet? They'd be freaking cold. That entire section of the movie on Hoth is probably my favorite section. It's even after the battle. Even when Han Solo has to go out and rescue Luke when he's stranded on Hoth and Luke's riding a Tauntaun and then Han has to cut open the Tauntaun to keep Luke warm, that's just the true value of friendship. And I think that this movie captures friendship so well, and planets in this movie just have that beautiful landscape, and you understand what these planets are about. I've already mentioned Hoth, chilling, cold, snowy. Cloud City, a city in the clouds. It's kind of got like a reddish sky. It's awesome. It's the perfect 3-act structure for a movie too. Like the first act of the movie all takes place on Hoth. Then in the second act of the movie, you really get to learn more about what Luke is doing to become a Jedi. You get to see his Jedi training, and then the last act of the movie is him confronting Vader. And I'll get to more of that in a minute, but let's talk about his Jedi training, because we are introduced to yet another great character, and that is, Jedi Master Yoda, found someone you have.
Like we're being watched.
Oh, wait, put your weapon. I mean you no harm. I am wondering, why are you here?
I'm looking for someone.
Looking? Found someone you have, I would say.
Right.
Help you I can. Yes.
Honestly, I don't really like the look of Puppet Yoda, at least in these original trilogies. He looked fine in The Last Jedi when they brought Puppet Yoda back, but in this original trilogy, he just looks like some stoner who's coked out on meth and did too much ecstasy or something.
Hey, it's my dinner.
How you get so big eating food of this kind?
Listen, friend, we didn't mean to land in that puddle, and if we could get our ship out, we would, but we can't, so why don't you just...
Get your ship out.
Hey, get out of there!
No!
Hey, you could have broken this. Don't do that.
Yoda's the man, okay? And that thing, yes, is adorable. I want one. I love how we get to see Luke starting to train to become a Jedi, and I've never really understood why people think Luke is out of character in The Last Jedi, and I'll get to that more in my retrospective for The Last Jedi, because we saw how whiny he was in A New Hope, and we just see how hasty Luke is in this movie. He just wants to go and do everything all at once. Like, he just wants to confront Vader. He feels like he doesn't have time to complete his Jedi training. Like, Yoda even warns him, it's like, you're gonna fail if you confront Vader. That's why I never understood the argument where it's like, oh, Luke failed the Jedi Order, it's not the Jedi way. Luke failed Yoda in this movie by going to confront Vader. I don't get that argument. I love that scene too where Luke has to face his fear, where he has that vision where he's fighting Darth Vader, and it's kind of slowed down in slow motion, and that's another really good thing about this movie, is the directing. It is not directed by George Lucas. It is directed by Irvin Kershner, who does a very good job at directing this movie. Cannot commend him enough for his directing and his stylistic choices, like in this scene where he decides to slow it down and Luke chops off Vader's head and the face mask of the helmet blows up and Luke sees his face there. It's like he realizes what his greatest fear is that he could become like Darth Vader. That's a really interesting scene. It's a really interesting stylistic choice to portray that scene that way in kind of a slow motion type of way. I really love that scene. It might be the best scene in the entire movie, and I know I spoke highly of the Battle of Hoth. That's my favorite battle scene, and it's probably my favorite section of the entire movie, but if we're streamlining it to one scene in particular, it's that scene. We gotta talk about Han Solo in this movie. It seems like he's going to die, and he gets frozen in carbonite, and he's really gone for the last, third of the movie. He gets frozen in carbonite. I love his response to Leia when she says, "I love you." Han Solo just says, "I know." Perfect. Perfect. I will say that to anybody who says that they love me. I'll just be like, I know. So Han Solo is out of the picture, and at the end of this movie, Luke goes to confront Vader. Even though he doesn't have all the Jedi training, this just proves how hasty Luke is. And you know what Vader tries to do? He tries to freeze Luke in carbonite, and Luke uses the Force to force jump out of that chamber.
All too easy.
Lightsaber fight ensues. The thing I love about this lightsaber fight is you can tell how hasty Luke is. You can tell how inexperienced he is with a lightsaber, and you can tell how experienced Darth Vader is with a lightsaber, because Luke seems like he's swinging it like he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and then Vader's just there one-handing everything. I'm like, Vader's a badass. I love Vader. But even in this scene, everything is in focus. Everything is in shot. We get some close-ups of Luke and Vader, but then there's some shots too where it is beautiful wides of Luke and Vader fight. It makes a more compelling fight. When the camera's not cutting back and forth, and I'm not talking about flash cutting or shaky cam or anything, cuts in general. There's not an over-reliance on cuts in this fight, and that's what I really love about this fight, and we get one of the biggest revelations in cinematic history ever. Vader tells Luke who he actually is.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
No. That's not true. That's impossible!
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
No! No!
The thing that strikes me about this scene is after Luke finds out and Vader's trying to seduce him to the dark side so that they can rule the galaxy as father and son, is that Luke is just like, you know what? See ya, buddy. I'm out.
See ya, chump.
He tries to commit suicide. It's crazy. The production value in this movie still holds up. It's like the production value in the original Star Wars from 1977. Everything still holds up today, and it still looks magnificent. I love the production value, the set design, the production design, the costumes are so great. Something I didn't mention in my review for A New Hope is that the design of the stormtroopers and Vader, you know, it was kind of modeled after the Nazis. That's where George Lucas got the inspiration for all that. It's really fascinating how these older movies were made and how well these old Star Wars movies hold up with the Star Wars movies of today. These hold up better than, like, Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, which is sad. And this movie ends on probably the biggest cliffhanger in cinematic history. Nobody ends on a high note. Everybody's on a low note. Nobody knows what to expect for the next installment. This is one of the greatest sequels of all time, and I am going to give The Empire Strikes Back an A+. Thank you for watching my review of The Empire Strikes Back. We got 3 more to talk about: Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens, and a new updated review with updated thoughts of The Last Jedi. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that in front of the camera or if that's going to be a voiceover. I'm still trying to figure it out in my head. You guys are the best. I will leave my link to my social media accounts in the description below. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.